speaking of original art styles being adapted faithfully, huh? The Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, Ghost in the Shell.
I think that's my most anticipated thing coming out. It looks so fucking cool. Like, after all this time going back, because I know that Ghost in the Shell is a franchise that is like, it has to keep coming out. They do want to keep it relevant. There's always a reboot every few years to, you know, keep that thing making some money, and there's cool stories to tell, so fair enough, right? But you don't go too long without seeing a Ghost in the Shell of some kind. But
never seen it.
Any of it?
Nope.
Not even the original movie?
You know how much Ghost in the Shell I've watched? I went over to a friend's house. He's like, check this out, and showed me a naked woman fighting a big spider. I'm like, yo, isn't that cool? And then turned it off.
Interesting.
I only found out later that was Ghost in the Shell.
I think you would like the movie, and I think you might really enjoy
ScarJo?
The anime.
And the cartoon movie.
The cartoon movie, yes, the Mamoru Oshii. And I think you might really like Innocence as well.
Yeah.
The show possibly, but like hard to say. But I think you might dig Innocence because the stuff that goes heavy into philosophy and like the, you know, cyberpunk whatchamacallit,
dystopia.
No, the word is escaping me. Techno, whatever. My brain is off right now. It's some stuff that I feel like we had interesting conversations about, like fucking 10, 15 years ago. That you would enjoy. Transhumanism. It does some interesting stuff with the subject matter. It goes good places with this new movie. The trailer they're showing off is notable because for the first time ever, like the original series, the original comic, like was hitting on all these notes, but it was really goofy and had a bunch of like silly moments and much more slapstick things that Masamune Shirow put into it. And the original Major was like way more of this kind of like lesbian gremlin disaster.
Okay.
And because the anime, because the movie was so good, it kind of got reintroduced as this dead serious military heavy philosophy thing, which it is right. Heavily philosophical, but there was a lighthearted element to it that got lost in that adaptation. And you see the standalone Complex series and some of that future stuff kind of going off of the more movie timeline and adapting that more serious tone of things, and it's great. It is fucking peak of what it's trying to do. But I do miss, and kind of always, there's a part of me that likes that original goofy kind of lighthearted aspect to the original Masamune Shirow books, and this is the first time they're like fully embracing that, and you're seeing the art style go back to the way it originally looked as well. So this looks fucking sick. I'm super happy that they're going in this direction. Yeah, there's two canons here that are, well, there's more than two, but like,
how many cannons we got?
I mean, I'm gonna say comic. So there's manga, there's Oshii, there's standalone Complex, and then is the newer series that came out after standalone Complex its own world. I think it might be. I think there's 4. I think that's
too many.
Yeah, I think the new one where she has a younger body is a 4th canon. Arise, right? So that's its own thing.
How many of those are different canons but are essentially the same story?
Well, they're all essentially the same story, you know.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of them deal with like okay, anytime the puppet master gets introduced, anytime it deals with her, like they're pretty much, yeah, there's a lot of them that are either retelling the same cases, retelling the same story, or like different takes on it. Laughing Man and Puppet Master being the focus of the case tend to be.
So it's like Star Fox.
Yeah, sure. Sure, why not? I'll take that. You know. But that being said, I haven't seen all of it. I've seen, I'd say about half. But yeah, this is a fucking cool ass like decision to go with the full adaptation of this art style. This is almost like the other day when we saw the animated little Dragon Ball short that was like real Toriyama artwork style, and you're like, yeah, there's the Dragon Ball anime that we've known, and overall there's the style that has come to be accepted as like, this is Goku as a franchise character, but that little touch of Toriyama's specific style is particular, and you kind of can identify it and be like, oh shit, that's his version of Frieza staring at Goku, leaning his head up like, I like that little touch.
So I want you to. I'm gonna pull a card here. I would like you to function as my crazy check. You've done this in the past. And you've been very helpful. Dragon Ball, One Piece, Ghost in the Shell, etc. Has been this ongoing thing with just a bunch of other things. Like, hey, look, guys, we're gonna make a new version of this thing, and this time we're going to be really accurate to the source material. My initial gut reaction is annoyance that you should have done that in the first place. Like this version of of Ghost in the Shell is like a lot more accurate to the manga, and it's a lot more like bring back the goofiness. This has now made me like annoyed that the original was not a adaptation that was more accurate.
So that doesn't apply here. And if most folks, I would say, that are fans of Ghost in the Shell are okay with how things went, because what Mamoru Oshii did with the original Ghost in the Shell movie is so fucking good that you're okay with it being different. The adaptation, the adaptation is a phenomenal adaptation, being its own thing. It crushes it for completely different reasons.
Because my original encounter with this type of thing was Full Metal Alchemist.
Okay, and then the anime, and then Brotherhood later.
I was current with the manga when I started watching the anime version of Full Metal Alchemist, and I got about halfway through and started to go, wait, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Yeah.
That's wrong.
So
you're doing it wrong. What is this fucking shit?
So Ghost in the Shell is weird because it's not this thing where you're like, here's the original, and every time we deviate from this, we're fucking it up. The first time most people heard of Ghost in the Shell was this movie that was already insanely different from the source material, and also peak. Like that's what it is. So right off the bat, you had the source material and the original that were super different, and both were amazing. So this discrepancy meant people were comfortable with the fact that sometimes it's going to be different. Furthermore, the material actually leans into the idea of the art style, world, and setting changing, because the part of the idea with Ghost in the Shell and such is the transhumanist aspect is whatever form you see the Major in is up for like debate in the plot, because her being in that body is part of the discussion about the world. So it's like seeing a new series where she looks different and has a different art style and everything is like, oh cool, we're doing a different take on this, because the idea is the shell can change, but she is her identity. What are the limitations of that, and then you go into like where the body ends and begins and where the internet starts and so on and so forth. Yada yada. But the Ghost in the Shell is a unique series in that it was never about being faithful to the original. It was immediately like a different thing, but that thing was so good that nobody had an issue with that.
Because like where I'm coming from on this, and I'll use a very specific Full Metal Alchemist example, was that I was up to date on Full Metal Alchemist. On the manga, right? At the time that I started watching the show, they had just met Father for the first time, like in the underground. And my brain went, man, I really can't wait to see this animated, and especially can't wait to see that double page spread of Ed just rocking Scar shit around a blind corner where he finally catches up and you turn the page and it's just this wow. And I'm like, oh, that would look so good animated. And then I got about halfway through Full Metal Alchemist non-Brotherhood and I'm like, oh, that shit isn't going to happen.
Yeah, so
I'm out.
That and you, that's a series that is like, you were reading that the way you know, when like a shonen getting adapted that was already popular, that where you're like, your main goal is stick to the source material and that's it, right?
I just want pictures to move.
And I would say that applies to JoJo, that applies to Berserk,
that applies to JoJo, yeah,
that applies to a bunch of stuff where you're just like, yeah, this is amazing, don't fuck with this, just leave it alone, please. But it's just Ghost in the Shell was early and like one of the first of this kind that were just like, it deviated immediately. I would also say that Akira is another case
by
of
the way,
that,
it was
right?
in this conversation that I found out Ghost in the Shell had a manga.
Okay, yeah.
I thought it was just a movie that came out, and I was a little confused why it kept coming out.
Okay, no, it had a manga. Masamune Shirai, big shiny fucking, everyone's oiled up and greased. You have never seen more greased up characters than a Shiro painting. But that being said, it's a bit like Akira as well, right? Where, you know, the world's introduction to Akira was not the original, like, you know, story was not the original telling of it. It was through the movie that adapted everything and didn't focus at all on the stuff that the original manga focused on. You know, like it told the story of Tetsuo and Kaneda and all this stuff, but like the actual titular character Akira was barely a part of that.
He's in there for like what, 10 seconds?
It's nothing, right? Whereas obviously the manga goes into depth on that, and it's a whole big thing. So it feels weird then when the fan base that evolves from this first adaptation is evolving from the thing that was already a deviation from the original. You know, so you don't feel that need for it to go back and be as accurate versus if you were someone who was hanging on to the pages from day one, you know. But I'd also say too that if we were in a world where, it's hard to say, but if we were in a world where the original manga was already adapted and popular, and then the first time it ever got translated, it became the Oshi movie. I think some people would be like upset that it dropped certain things and that the tone shifted and such, but it would end up being one of these things where you'd be like, yeah, but it's doing other things that are good, and you kind of accept it. Like it's just really good. I don't know how else to break that. You know, there's must be examples of things that you've seen adapted where it's not faithful 100%, but you still thought it was pretty good. One Piece on Netflix as a live action show.
I have an example. Me and Paige were just at the grocery store and we talking about how like incredible those Lord of the Rings movies were. Should have had Tom Bombadil in it.
Okay.
Should have had him there. Would have been better. Tom Bombadil's fucking awesome.
The Shining is a pretty stellar example of.
So The Shining's super interesting because Stephen King also made more accurate versions of his movies that sucked shit.
And
that's like the most interesting version of this conversation possible.
Kubrick's changes made a better product than the source material. It's hilarious. It's kind of insane, but that's the reality, is that a better filmmaker came along and told a better story, and it was way better, you know?
So like at the end of the day, the whole point of a movie or a manga anime adaptation is so that I don't have to go and read the original.
No, that's not
the
true.
point.
That's not true.
That's the point.
That's not true at all.
That's the point.
No, it's not. That's crazy.
And it can function as a direct replacement.
Different mediums have different strengths and things that you can and cannot do. And I couldn't disagree like stronger. It's like there's certain works, there's certain books, there's certain, you know, in particular with manga, where you're like, I mean, Vagabond. It's like you are looking at a page here that it's like, no. There's the point of adapting.
Is there a Vagabond anime?
No, there isn't. There isn't.
What if it was really good?
Then it would be a really good adaptation, and I hope that it would find a way to do things that the books can't do, but there's things the books do that it will never be able to do, like stare at this fucking like, I don't know, there's I'd say that the book has very contemplative moments where you kind of are like spending a lot of time looking at detail of like stuff that Inoue decided to heavily focus on, that
so
you can animate that and you can time it, but there is something to you two choosing when to turn the page and how that feels versus the pace being set for you.
So like this is where like even I recognize that like my actual like the underneath take of this is the crazy part, which is I want only the best version of any given thing to exist.
The problem with that is that different creators will sometimes make different versions that are both valid and good for different reasons.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't have done that. One of them should just have been much better than the other.
So
like Evangelion, where the whole thing is one thing and it's perfect.
Okay, the medium only has
There's
room.
no other good version of Evangelion you need to care about. There's just Evangelion.
There is one story to be told across all mediums, no matter what, and that is all we can do with. Yeah, that's batshit. That's completely insane. But hey, that's where we are. That's fine.
So someone just said, Pat says no remixes. No. I'm not saying no remixes. I'm saying if the remix is so good, you should destroy the original because the remix is the new good thing. Because then you exist in a world of only the best.
And there's no room or reason.
So like Romeo Must Die came out. You don't need Romeo and Juliet anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You remember Romeo Must Die? I know you do.
Yeah. But then Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet actually replaces that. So
you're right. That one is actually fucking awesome.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, no, they should show that in schools.
Someone in
the chat said that Pat's Child is a Pat remix, so that means we don't need Pat anymore. Absolutely. That's why I'll die one day.
Every song that Johnny Cash covered, time to go delete the originals. Just wipe the
Reznor agrees with that.
Wipe the masters off the face of the earth. Never listen to them again.
That was like the best example you could have picked, because Reznor was like, yeah, no, it's his. My version sucks now.
He's not your girl anymore. Yeah, your version sucks now, therefore it should be killed, mercilessly slaughtered. Okay. Well, you picked a particular topic that is like actually one of the best ones for this, where Ghost in the Shell truly is like not just a story that was like immediately different from its source material, and both were great, but it's also one that is, again, because of the plot, it lends itself to being remade, and it's okay with it because that's a part of what the discussion of everything is, you know. And listen, and here's what I'll say.
Field one more comment here. Someone in the chat says, I guess we have to kill original RE2 then, because the remake is out. But original RE2 is better than the remake, so you would actually have to destroy RE2 remake. Because it's not a slam dunk overall improvement.
I'm gonna give you one more pitch.
Yeah, hit me.
Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. That shade ain't even about the major.
Okay.
Like 60 to 70% of that movie is just Bato hanging out with his dog.
That sounds good. What kind of
dog? Basset Hound.
Nice.
The
Basset Hounds are ridiculous.
The best animated Basset Hound you've ever seen. That's it.
They got big floppy ears.
They
I like
flop.
that they got big floppy ears.
Oh, they flop. They flop real good.
Yeah.
That's it. Anyway, Ghost in the Shell fucking rules, fucking rules, fucking rules, fucking rules. It's so good. I can't wait for this one.